Okay, here we are. Um, I've gotten a lot of requests for a tutorial on a video I did called Alien Youth. A couple of people commented on it on the YouTube video, and I got a couple of emails and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a tutorial on basically the same thing what I did there. It might not answer all your questions, but it should get you started in the right direction. First of all, this is 3D Studio Max 9. It is a very powerful 3D rendering program and animation program. And you can get a 30-day free trial if you go to their website. The first thing we need to do is record your video, or even take a still picture. Either one will work for what we're going to do here. And we're going to take this media and try to put our own mesh, in this case a biped, a character walking across the floor, and it'll work for either video or still picture. The thing about video is your video needs to be taken from a still camera, so a mounted camera, and there's a reason for that. You can do it with moving camera, but that goes into motion tracking and stuff like that, and that's a different tutorial. So I've already done that, and we're going to get started. First thing you want to do, you already have your video or picture created. You want to open up 3D Studio Max and come up to Render, Environment. Here you have the background, environment map, and none. We're going to change that. Click on none, double click bitmap, and as you can see, all formats, it doesn't just accept bitmap, it accepts all kind of formats here, and I already have one here. This is a video I took of the floor. It's in 720 by 480 digital video, and it's an AVI file. So I'm going to select that, hit open. This file is approximately 10 seconds long, and that's something you want to keep in mind if you're doing 30 frame per second animations. So if it's only 10 seconds, 30 frames a second, you got to make sure you stay within your 10 seconds when you're animating. Alright, that's that. Use map is selected, and I've changed my environment map. I can go ahead and close that window. Now what I want to do is, this is the tricky part. I want to create a camera in the scene, and what I'm going to do is go over to camera creation button and click target, and on the left side top right subdivision here, I'm going to click, hold, and drag down to the bottom left and click again. Now I have a standard camera, and it's just placed randomly. Where my perspective field is, I'm going to right click, go to views, and click on camera. Now I'm seeing what the camera sees. What I want to see there is my video that I recorded. So if you hold Alt and then click B, this brings up your viewport background settings. What I want to do is right here where it says use environment background, make sure that is selected, and then come down to display background and select that, and then where it says viewport, make sure camera 01 is selected, and that is the camera that we just created, and hit OK. Now I have my 10-second video there, and now what we want to do is, I have my grid layout here. I want to set my camera up so that my grid matches straight lines on my video here. So I want to try to um, move the camera in such a way, see, that's not the right way because I want my grid lines to match up with straight lines on the video, and which I am getting pretty close there. As you can see, here is a straight edge, here is a straight edge, here is a straight edge. This one almost matches, but this one doesn't. And that's probably because of the camera position. And it's really simple to try and move this around, but this is actually the hardest part there is. Just getting your camera into the right position. And what this is doing is it's creating a position in real space that your camera actually was. So if this was the ground of the room and I measured the distance from the wall to the directly under the camera and then from the floor to the camera, I could actually set those dimensions in here using this little pad down here. And I want to create a plane on this right here. Plane. Okay, I have my plane created. Now instead of moving my plane around, I want to move my camera just enough to effectively mimic the position of the camera, which is just about right there. And now I'm going to resize my plane just a little bit. And maybe turn my camera slightly. There we go. And I want to move my plane just a little bit. Alright, I have a single plane created. I want to create two more planes, one for the entire floor and one for the entire wall. And the reason I'm creating these planes is so that they can receive shadows. Now, this plane is here. What I want to do is to make it easier to work with, I'm going to right click the plane, Object Properties, and click on See Through. Hit OK. Now I can see through my plane I created. I want to create two more planes, plane, and drag those monsters out. And I'm going to move this plane into such position that it looks like it stops right where the wall is. Right where the corner of the wall meets the carpet there. And this will be my carpet plane. But I want to drop it down just a little bit so that it is underneath the other plane that I created. There we go. And the same thing with this one. Right click, Object Properties, See Through, OK. And now I want to create another one. I'm going to go to my front viewport, click on Plane, make one across the back of the wall here, and I'm going to, because it creates the plane center of field of view, I'm going to move this plane back and stop it right where it meets the floor and the carpet. And then I'm going to right click this plane, do the same thing. Object Properties, See Through, OK. Before I do that, I'm going to set up materials for these, and this is where it gets really cool. I need to create two materials. One that is shiny and reflective, like this wood, and another material that is kind of dull, but still receives shadows. So the first one, I will create this material by changing from standard to a matte slash shadow. Double click that. Now I have matte slash shadow. Receive shadows is on, alpha effects is on, and map for reflection is off. I'm going to click that, and actually, sorry, amount. Yes. Click this and add flat mirror and hit OK. I'm going to go back up to the parent, change this amount to something really low because the wood is not as reflective as a mirror. So I'm going to take and put this on 4 instead of 50. And then just click anywhere to apply that. So our first material is done. Second material. I'm going to click on the second material. Go to standard. Hit matte slash shadow, and that should be good. I don't want to change the reflective for the carpet at all. I don't want to add any kind of reflective to the carpet. What I want to do though is apply these. The first one I'm going to apply to plane 1, which is our board here. The second one I'm going to apply to plane 2, which is the floor, and plane 3, which is the wall. Now I can close this, and like I was doing earlier, go to freeze by hit, and select all 3 of these and freeze all 3 of them. Now those are frozen, so I cannot accidentally move them. Okay, now what I want to do is create my mesh in the scene and then set up a light. So what I'm going to do is come over to create. I have substandard systems, and I'm going to select Biped, and what I'm going to do here is just go into the left scene, drag and hold, and mysteriously my biped magically appears into the scene. I'm going to push him down a little bit so that he's standing right on top, right on top of that board. And now I want to actually, for this guy, I want to turn him. So I'm going to turn him in, undo that. I'm going to turn him in a 90-degree facing away. And I'm going to move this guy back. And he is actually still a little big. I'm going to size him down some more. Okay. Too easy. Whoa. Did not size the guy. Anyway, what we do is come over to modify. We got a biped object. We actually want to go to the motion scene. Now I can click on figure mode, and I can change anything about the guy that I want to. Unclick figure mode. Let me undo that. I don't know why I moved my guy there. Whatever. I have the guy here. What I want to do is, using the scene references, I have shadows cast down. I want to create a light source. What I want to do is move this Omni light around in a position, and if you hit F9 you can actually see what we have so far. The only problem is I don't have a shadow to refer to. These cats here, you have the shadow on the wall, and I want my shadow to actually go that way a little bit as well. So with the light selected, I come to modifier list and turn on shadows, bam, and use global settings, bam. And let's actually see how that looks now. Pressing F9, my shadow is actually just about there. It's in the right direction, but it's still way too dark. So coming back, I'm going to go to shadow parameters, turn my density down to about, I don't know, 29. Let's hit F9 and see how that looks. Looks pretty damn good, if you ask me. Alright. Now we have our biped, we have the shadow, we have some reflection here on the board. I want to get my biped to walk across the board. Select the biped again, go to motion control, and this is so simple. Footstep mode. And in the top view, what I want to do here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I see my biped from the top in the board. I'm going to have my biped using footstep mode and create icon. I'm going to create footsteps at current frame. Bam. You also have a couple other options. Run, jump. This guy is just going to walk. I have my icon with a foot and an arrow. I'm going to start over here and just start making some footsteps here. Boom, boom, boom. It goes left, then right, then left, then right, just as if the guy was walking. And stop. What I want to do now is turn off create footstep, and I'm going to select these and rotate them. And select these and rotate them. Oops. Select these and rotate them. And select these and rotate them. And what I want to do is come over here to footstep operations, create keys for inactive footsteps. Bam. Now what this did, it created a key on each frame. And what we're going to do is we're going to click this field, hit play preview, and we actually see our biped walking across the screen there. I'm going to reset this, and we're going to go to render. I want to go with 320 by 240 so it doesn't take us too long. Scroll down to render output, click file, bring this down to about 50. And the reason it didn't do that is because I had uninstalled my QuickTime codec and didn't reset my computer. Let's hit render. We should see a rendering dialog, and right over here it should say amount of time remaining for render, which this is going to take a long time on your computer. But on mine, I have a super fast computer and a magic button that makes it go really quick. But before I click that button, you can see here, I probably need to work with the light a little bit because his head is way too bright compared to and his body is way too bright compared to the rest of the scene. But our shadows are just about point on. You can see this mat is accepting shadows. The wall, it looks like the shadow comes along the floor, goes up the wall, and they're just about in the same direction. And then once the sky starts going across the floor here, you should see a hint of a reflection and a shadow, giving it very realistic effect. So let me fast forward this thing.